What if I told you, Michael Strahan, there's this guy, he's considered the greatest quarterback of all time, has all the records, rings, MVPs.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody could beat him, except for this other guy who beat him twice in the Super Bowl. Wouldn't that make the other guy the greatest quarterback of all time?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It means that the other guy team, because football's not one person, the other guy's team showed up and probably played better as a team.
All right.
And finished strong. And that guy showed up and had his biggest moment or moments at the biggest time. And the other guy had a lot of big moments and a lot of times to do it, which I am quite jealous of.
By the way, here's what's funny. So it's week 17. You lose to New England. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching that game and thinking, shit, they're not that far off.
No.
And then you go to the Super Bowl. Michael, the very first play, New England tried some reverse or something clever. Boom, stuffed it. And I remember thinking, okay, this reminds me a little of week 17 where you were winning one-on-one battles. Go back to week 17, the first time you played New England. Okay, they wrap it up. They go undefeated. You're leaving the field. Was there something in your mind saying, we're not, that game was closer than people think?
Man, I said this earlier today. Had we not played them in week 17, I don't think we win the Super Bowl. I think when we played them week 17, we had already locked up the spot in the playoffs. We were going to play Tampa the next week. Yep. I remember in the meetings, and the coaches really aren't putting in a game plan because they're like, well, we don't want to put in much because we put it in. We got to see the Bucks next week. We don't want to give anything away. So we're going to go out here and have a very vanilla offensive defense this week. And we were wondering if we were going to play or not, if Coughlin was going to rest us. And I'll never forget, and I remember saying it in my pregame speech because it pretty much came from Coughlin, that, hey, they're not resting their guys. Why are we resting our guys? And if we got to be out here to play, let's play. And the bottom line was it was the right decision because you see teams rest their star players when there's nothing to play for. But that game gave us so much confidence, especially as a team that no one expected anything from. And we're walking off the field. And like yesterday, I remember this. O.C. Umenyiora puts his arm around me and said, Stray, when we see them again, we will beat them. And first thought in my mind was, first of all, I wasn't thinking that because I'm thinking, well, we got a long way to go. Only way we see them is in a Super Bowl. And I know we've been a little hot, but I don't know if we're that hot yet. I never thought that, but OC and the younger guys had that in their mind. I was more focused on the next week. And lo and behold, we beat Green Bay and we're going to the Super Bowl, and everyone thought we had no shot. You felt it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we were the most relaxed we'd ever been. We were chill at practice, was fun. Coughlin to order the In-N-Out burger truck, and he's out there slopping down 2 In-N-Out burgers. That was a sight to see. It just showed how relaxed we were. And my message to the guys was relax. It's just football. The same thing that got us here is going to be the thing that's going to help us win. Just the practice is practice. Football is football. But then they were too relaxed, in my opinion. But after saying relax, I couldn't tell them not to relax, to like unrelax. So I had to roll with it. And it was just a sense of confidence that we had. And I knew it when we had it that morning. We walked down to breakfast before the game, and same guy, OC. I don't know why I was the guy I decided to talk to all the time. But he looked at me and he goes, Stray, we got to get to Tom Brady to win this game. If we don't get to Tom Brady, we're not going to win this game. And I'm thinking, you've been watching TV? Because that's what everybody's saying. Like, woo, that's some good analysis. OC, you got a future in TV, which he's gone on to have an incredible future in TV over in Europe. But when he said it, it was a look in his eye that I hadn't seen all week. Like, it was a focus. It was it's game day. We're ready. And we got on that field, and from that first play, you realize everybody's locked in. It's the one game we have 11 guys on that field, and all 11 are locked in. There's a lot like not like 9 and 2 guys that are not focused. All 11 on both sides of the ball were locked in, and the results ended up being what they were. And that's us giving what I call the greatest upset in football history.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember it well. I lived in Connecticut, and I remember the final week 17, you guys winning some personal battles on the D line, and then I remember in the first series thinking, "Oh shit, Giants are winning all those battles up front. This is going to be low score." All I remember is thinking it's going to be low scoring. If you're losing those battles in the first series, you're not winning them later.
Which is crazy though, because they were scoring like 35 points a game, and believe me, we're hitting Tom so fast. Like guys are in the backfield before you felt like you came off the line of scrimmage. You're like, shit, how'd Tuck get back there? How'd Osi get back there? How could Vika Mitchell get back there? How'd Fred Robbins get back there? How'd Barry Cofield get back there? The guys are hitting him so frequently and so fast and in his face and just in his passing lane, hands up, had him scrambling. And it felt as if, like, are they tricking us? Are they making it easy just to turn it up? Like, what's going on? But once I saw Tom get upset, slam the ball down a few times, yell at a few guys, I said, we're that good right now. We're rolling. And we just got to keep it going. Can we maintain it for 4 quarters? That was the question. But I think we had enough guys who were hungry enough and enough of a rotation on defense and everywhere else on our team that we were able to maintain it enough.
It's interesting. You're a big personality. You crushed in New York. Jeter talks, never says anything. Same with Eli. Eli never says anything, but he can talk forever. It's funny. As a Southern kid, the New York media really embraced Eli. I mean, he doesn't fit. If I'd have told you Southern kid, brother to Peyton, everybody loved Eli. They just love Eli. And yet, did the media embrace you in New York that quickly, or did it take a while?
It took a while, man. I don't know if they ever really embraced me because I was hard on them. They were hard on me. I was hard on them, Tom. I didn't give them up. You know what it was? I was a second pick in the draft, second round. They didn't have a first round pick, but they picked Dave Brown in the supplemental draft. So I was technically the first pick, 40th overall. I came out in the year with Eric Curry, John Copeland, Coleman Rudolph, Carl Simpson, Dan Williams. Who else was that? Todd Kelly. All these guys picked in front of me in the draft. I think when I came to New York, no one really knew. I came out of Texas Southern University, 19 sacks my senior year, 40-something sacks in college. Like, I was great. But they said, oh, this is at the TSU, HBCU, the competition, all these excuses. So I don't think they really expected much of me. I was going to be a guy who came through, a draft pick they took a chance on that I think that a lot of people felt may last little while, may give them a little something here and there, but never had the career that I had. But at the same time, that was a motivating factor to me. And the media, at times, I wasn't probably the easiest guy to deal with. I was joyful and I was funny and I gave great sound bites. But if you came at me wrong, if you came at me wrong, I didn't take it. I came back at you in the media. But by the end of my career, the last 3 years of my career, I got divorced. As you said, you're married, divorced, married, or whatever. I got divorced, man. It was the hardest thing I'd ever gone through in my life, especially you're on the front cover of the paper for being a great, like a worst husband and getting divorced. And you're on the back cover of the paper for being this incredible football player. But it taught me not to really care anymore. So when it came to the media, I was more upset when they talked about my teammates than I ever was about me, because I realized you couldn't do what I was doing. I could do and talk about people like you're talking about. You can't put on a uniform and go out there and perform on the field. So your opinion really didn't matter to me anymore. And I embraced that. I also embraced the fact that you kind of need me to do your job. I don't need to talk to you. So I would come in and tell the media, I only talk 2 days a week. I told our PR guy, I'm only going to talk 2 days a week. So I would come to the locker room every day. I'd talk to the media, knew everybody's name, would joke with them and say, hey, you know, your wife's still married to you. Let her know it's still not too late. My God, she hadn't realized it yet. Like I used to mess with guys. We have fun. But if you ask me one football question on the day that I said that I would not talk about football, I would shut it down and say, come on, man, you know I don't talk about football. And I walk away. Like I controlled the narrative by the end of my career and controlled the conversation with the media. And I think that by doing that, I made myself more interesting to them because they saw me probably as volatile. I saw it as I'm learning to play your game. Where you're using me, well, I'm going to learn to use you. And it worked to my benefit. Plus, I used to tell the young guys all the time, being here in New York, there's a lot of things to do, a lot of clubs to go to, a lot of parties, a lot of people. If you're supposed to be a huge star, or if you're supposed to be special, and you show up at a club every night, you're just another patron, right? Pretty soon, your star factor diminishes. You're just another patron who comes to the club, and it's not such a big deal who you are. Scarcity. So scarcity of my conversations with the media, scarcity of my answers about what was coming up in the game or my thoughts on the game created a buzz around talking to me. So I realized when I did show up at a club or when I did give a comment in the paper, it was going to be a bigger deal. So I understood how to play the game. I kind of figured it out just by being here and just had to learn those things.
Boy, that's smart. Jack Nicholson, the great Jack Nicholson, would not go on late night shows to talk about his movie. He says, I want to be a little bit of an enigma, a little bit of a mystery. To your point, then the appearances are special.
And how'd that work out for him? He did all right.